How did you do it?
On my end, next to the little three dots next to the hang up button, I had the option for recording. I don't remember seeing that before, but
it's because you're the host.
Yeah. I'm recording this, so I will record it, and then when it's all said and done, I will send you guys a copy of it. So,
thank you so much.
Which is good as well, because I've been trying to figure out how I can record one, because I need to do just a generalized one to put out on the website to hopefully make people's life a little bit easier.
Well, if you do that, let me shut off my video. You're gonna put us on the website.
Oh no, I will do another one that's not a particular house if anybody has. That way it's just from a confidentiality standpoint and things like that. We'll just choose. I'll probably just choose my house in Jeff City or something like that to do it on. Okay. But okay, so what we're looking at here is got the information. So I just need the one solar Pathfinder, and I said you guys were sending that over to me.
Yeah, it's taken a minute to upload.
Oh, that's fine. We got other ones to go through first. So as long as we get that one at the same time, we'll be all right. So basically, the couple questions were obviously where do we pull the information from on the system advisor model, and then also how do we figure calculate the baseline rebate. So we'll talk about the baseline rebate first, because that one is doesn't require anything to computer wise on that really. Do you guys happen to have readily available, a copy of the net metering guidelines?
So you guys don't have to bring it up since I'm sharing. Or he's sharing, so
I just hit send on an email back to you guys on that one, and I can bring it up on the screen as well from that standpoint. But this will usually have it available to look at for the discussion on calculating the baseline rebate, because it has a nice chart in the back that kind of helps explain everything.
Yeah, let's find that document.
So like I said, I just sent an email to you guys as well, and I'm going to pull it up in here on my screen.
All right, thank you.
Okay, because then when the screen gets sometimes they get a little smaller on those ones. But so this is the chart. This is the charts that I'm referring to when talking about our baseline rebate. So our baseline rebate is basically, this is a great one you guys sent on this, because it's going to be multiple size. The rebate is based upon multi-tiered on the size of the system, and then also what the output at peak is, or also known as the peak factor. And so this system you guys are looking at is a 14 kW system, something like that, I think.
Yeah.
Yes, what was it exactly? A couple plans here. 15.91 kW system. So when we calculate the baseline rebate on this, is the baseline rebate is ignoring the whole second tier of it, of what side of the system is facing, whether it's east facing, west facing, or south facing. The baseline rebate is just assuming that they're all south facing systems. So it's this chart 1 right here in the middle of the page 9 of the net metering guidelines. And so for the first 10 kW, we do $500 a kW in rebate. So $5,000 is the baseline. Then for the next, on this one, 5.91 kW, it's at $400 a kW. So 5.91 times 400 plus the 5,000 for the other baseline is, this one has a baseline rebate of $7,364.
And you took that from system size is, what is it, 15.91 times 400?
Nope. So so it's 10 times 500, because for the first 10 kW we get the $500 rebate. It's little pockets of rebate instead of the whole thing gets attributed to it.
Okay.
So it's 10 times 500, and then 5.91 times 400.
Okay.
And that comes out to be $7,364 is what the baseline rebate is. And then from there, we actually calculate the full rebate on, I went ahead and started filling out the interconnection agreement with the basic customer information, address, client name, stuff like that for it as well. And I'll send you this when we fill it out. I'll send you guys this copy of it so that you can take it back to the customer and get the actual signature for it. But this way we can have the nice filled out one already done today as we walk through this.
Okay.
So our baseline rebate goes up here in this right corner on the right side of the screen here. And that's where it's basically say you think of it as it's a south facing one from there. But then later on, after we get the information through SAM, we'll take into account the peak factor. And what that really comes down to is we pay a premium on west facing panels because they produce more power when the utility's at its peak. So we'll basically on those we'll pay 125% of the baseline rebate. And then for east facing panels, they get 75%. And then south facing panels will get 100% of the baseline rebate. And we look at it not which way they're facing, but how do they behave. So looking at the overhead on this project on the Google Maps, there's not really much shading that's going to impact it. So won't make much of a difference. But let's say that you had a west facing array that was being shaded and it acted like an east facing array because of that, then it would be rebated like an east facing array. So that's the baseline rebate here. So and we'll calculate the peak factor, and that peak factor comes from doing the system advisor model and doing the solar pathfinder to get the shade analysis. So we're going to go ahead and pop open the, first off, let me cover the rest of this here on this net meter agreement, make sure I'm on the same page. Page 1 is just your basic information, customer name, address, account number. The big one I want to talk about is on page 2, you have these 3 options. And this is what the customer uses to select what their rate is going to be from the standpoint of overproduction being paid back. The one that the customer wants to select is the very top one. That is going to be in their best interest. This is the one that basically allows us, we can count their solar system as part of the renewable portfolio for the city, and therefore we will pay them back at a retail rate for any overproduction that they have. The middle one is we cannot count their stuff towards the renewables for the city, and we will pay them back at avoided cost. So instead of being 8 cents a kilowatt hour, they'll get paid back at 2.5 cents a kilowatt hour for overproduction. And if I get anyone that sends one in that has one of these bottom 2 selected, I'm going to call the customer and ask the question to make sure that that is what they want, because it is not in their best interest from a economic standpoint to do that.
Right.
And the third option here is if they put in wind, which or some other kind of renewable generation that's not solar. So that's, as of now, I've never had one of these come through yet. And with that said, on these options, I do not know of a single house in Columbia or business that has solar that has not selected the top option.
Okay.
Because again, it's in their best interest economically, because we will pay back for overproduction back at retail rate. So the same rate they pay us, we pay them back.
It's very generous.
We're trying to we're trying to encourage the adoption of solar because that helps us meet our renewables, and that's the way that the program was set up, to help encourage it, to make it more economical. So, like I said, we pay a premium for allowing them to let us count it as renewables for the city. And again, hopefully it makes it more economical for everybody. The next one is on page 4, is just the basic customer signature, name, signature, date. We either needed to be a wet signature or a DocuSign or something similar. If it's just I've had them before, they come in where it's just a script looking font that's not a DocuSign or something, then we can't accept that, because this is a legally binding agreement between us and the customer. So either DocuSign or equivalent, or an actual wet signature, like a scanned copy of an actual signed document works as well.
Adobe's fine too, right?
Yeah, DocuSign or equivalent kind of thing.
Okay.
There's just so many out there that I'm not going to try to list all the various ones, but yeah, anything as long as it's electronically verified signature is fine. And then page 5, which is where we get to the actual meat and potatoes, the interconnection, the part that actually takes a little bit more. Your first basic one is, yes, they want a rebate, so you want to check the box up here, fill out the basic information. Then from here, manufacturer information, PV information, where the inverter is located, basic information from that standpoint. We're looking at, inverter, PV module location, for example, roof. we're not looking for any significant data, just basic information from that standpoint.
Hey Todd, going back to the inverter on this, where do we put 2 inverters here? Should I just put like number 2 inverter, blah 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 blah?
Are you putting 2? Are they the same size or are they different?
I'm just saying. Actually, on this one, there would be the same exact size, the 7600s or 6000.
Yeah, just make a note that there's 2 of them and where they're both located.
Where should I do 2? Should I do it in the?
Yeah, just do. Let's say they're in garage. The garage times 2.
Okay.
It's basic information. The idea that way, if someone, because this file gets uploaded into our system, for anybody can pull up that has access to it. So, for example, if linemen or someone need to get out and look at it, or in the future they can pop it open and get the basic information. We don't like all the plans. We keep that stored as well, but that's not stored in the general location that just anyone with access to the database can get into. But it's just basic information. The big one is going to be the manual disconnect location. That's the one that's actually going to be the one that the most likely to be looked at looking for that information, because they have to go up and shut off power because of power issues or whatnot. That way our linemen can know where to find that.
Okay. Now, if there's microinverters involved, we just put on the roof on that.
Yep, inverter location or behind. Just type in either microinverters, behind panel, on roof.
Okay.
From that standpoint,
Miners on east side or whatever.
Yeah, I'll say it's going to be from the standpoint. I'm going to be the one looking at this. That's going to be really kind of making that determination. So from that standpoint, I can, as long as it's within the realm of logical, I'll understand what you guys are going with on that one. So that won't be a problem. So
Okay. Last question.
Oh, by all means, yeah.
If I have a battery system for inverter location and we have to actually put the inverters inside the home, like on a Solark or something like that, is that allowable as long as there's the disconnect by the service side?
Yeah, you can do a battery inside the house. The manual disconnect there needs to be a disconnect basically between the solar system and all of its components and the meter itself.
Okay.
Yep, and we're actually recreating this form. It's in process now to add battery information in here because those are starting to become more prominent. But as of right now, we don't have that available to send out to everybody because we're just kind of finalizing it. So sometime probably, hopefully over the summer, we'll come out with an updated net metering agreement form on this page with battery information, and then some updated solar guidelines with nothing's really changing them. We just try to update them every couple of years for any kind of small stuff. So
now, okay, I said last question, but one more question. I have a system with a generator involved. Now in the net metering, should we go ahead and put the generator with the in the net metering contract, or is that a totally separate?
It's technically totally separate, but if you wouldn't mind making a note of it, that would be I would appreciate that from that standpoint.
Where should I make a note of it? Same place?
Just anywhere from that standpoint, and anywhere where there's really not an applicable spot for it. So, either next to the manual disconnect location or inverter location, one of those two. If you just want to make a quick note, includes generator with system, something like that. Wouldn't hurt. That way, if there's any kind of question, somebody down the road's pulling it up because they're trying to find out, information on the system real quick, I see a note on here that there's a generator.
And through Water and Light, do I have to on the generator side? Do I need to go ahead and throw it in the one line? Or should it be separate, or is it a separate permit?
It's technically all covered in the same permit because it's an electrical permit as part of the solar permit on that one. So yeah, I would say it would be best to go ahead and throw it all together into one. And you just say from whatever you send down to the permitting office, that information, just send that to me. That's the best way to go about it. Makes life easier. I'm looking for anything different than they are from permits from a plan side. So yeah, the one line, everything, it probably should be on there because that's what the permitting office is going to want as part of it, since that solar permit technically is an electrical permit as well.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Do we have to fill out the peak factor? Did you say that?
We do have to fill out the peak factor, and we haven't got to that yet.
Okay.
Yep. We'll get to that right now. So the first thing we're going to do is we'll start with the Solar Pathfinder because we have to have that to do the SAM file on it. So have you sent me that other one yet? Has it come through?
I sent you an email. It should be there.
Okay. Let me pop open my email real fast. Okay, I got a whole series of them real fast here. Let me download these into the appropriate file here. Or these are all Google Drive folder. Okay, these are Google Drive. All right.
It was too large to send as an attachment. I apologize. If you're not able to see them, I could try to send a different way.
I have a question, but I have to wait.
Do you happen to have the actual, not the 'cause I'm looking at the pictures here you sent of the of this. Do you happen to have the actual with the Solar Pathfinder Assistant, the actual photos that were taken of these as well?
Yeah, we do. Yes.
That's a lot easier way to go about it in the Solar Pathfinder. You can do it with these, but it becomes a little bit of a pain, to be honest.
Okay.
The other ones, I have to find. I don't know if they labeled them correctly. That's the issue.
They did not. I have to go back and yeah.
Yeah, I can make these work, but it's definitely a lot easier with the actual pictures if we have those.
Okay.
Are they in jot form?
They're in his file. Google that.
I'm looking for you now, sir.
Oh, not a problem. Okay, well, we're doing that. We're going to fill out the rest of this information on this net metering agreement real fast and based on.
Awesome.
So we're looking at the net metering agreement here. So PV manufacturer and model that is based upon the information you'd sent was. I'm not familiar. First time I heard of this brand.
Axitec.
Axitec. Okay. Is that an EC?
Yeah. ECH. Yeah, I wish I could get Silfab.
I've heard that I talked to some other solar contractors recently that it's becoming a little bit of an issue some of the panel manufacturers are shutting down.
Yeah, so LG just got out of the business. Panasonic's pretty close. So
I heard that they were completely closed. I heard Panasonic closed down first. Is that not right?
yeah. You can still get a few through third parties.
Okay.
It's funny because you can get them with Tesla labels, which I should be just pushing that, but we're not.
It's shipped with
Yeah.
Tesla label.
Axitec is a German made panel, but they're actually opening up a warehouse in Georgia.
Well, I'd say if it's going to be available locally from that, so easy to get hold of. Maybe not built locally, but if they're available, that's half the win right there. And so the inverter location on this one is going to be located. Let's see. Looking on your plan, trying to find out where the inverter is going to be located. It's right next to the meter, huh? Or is it inside the house?
Should be ×2.
I just know it's on the outside, isn't it? Right there, next to the meter. Okay, perfect.
We always do within 4 feet because that's what Ameren standards are. So I try to just make it 4 feet through the
we are going to be getting ready to add something to our standards on that as well because we don't currently have a listing of distance, and we're going to be ended up adding something very similar to Ameren's on that standpoint of next to the meter.
Do you know if it's 4 or 10?
We don't have a definitive number yet, to be honest, but we just had a couple that were installed where the manual disconnect was on the other side of the house from the meter.
Oh man.
And that was the gentleman who do the meters for us were not overly pleased with that one. So
no. So this one does have two inverters.
But they're both in the same spot. I don't see any other inverters on the plans though. So they're both on the same side of the house.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know why they didn't do it. I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Oh, that's not a problem. I just looking through. I don't see another inverter anywhere on the plan. So
Right next to each other.
make note for this ×2. I see inverter location next to meter, manual disconnect next to meter. It looks like it's just right there. So The watts on the module, we're looking at what, 370 watt modules, is that correct?
Yeah, 370s.
Okay. About 370. And then how many of these do we have being installed? How many panels?
Looking at my spec sheet. What is it?
19 or 20?
It's more than that.
More than that.
Is it?
Thinking like 41.
Oh my goodness. I'm way off.
Man, this Todd's are gonna mess with me. Because my supplier Todd now. This Todd it's
Too
so
many
every time I get
Todds.
in the email, it's like, where's my information at? So I'm like, trying to find this stuff.
Todd, you live in Jeff City?
I do.
Where do you live at?
I live over there by St. Mary's Hospital.
Oh, okay. I also live in Jeff.
Okay. How about yourself then?
I'm off 54, not too far past Double C.
Okay.
Not far from you.
Not too bad at all then.
I'll come stalk you.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
I won't. Silly goose.
We got 43 panels.
Thank you.
43. Okay. I was double counting because I counted them all and I came up with 43, but I'm sitting here going, I don't know if I trust my counting abilities or not. So
Right on
I
it.
think I trust my folder.
43, 70. Yep. Okay. 43 to 370 does equal 15.91. So just double checking that math. Okay.
Mhm.
And so then this house is going to be a little bit different because our form is designed for 3 arrays, and technically this house has 4. Because I would count on the picture here, array, 1 array, 2 array, 3 array, and then both of these 2 southern ones I would count together as 1, making 4 arrays.
And that's kind of how I position the sundial. Is that correct? Like I can just
So if
do
you
a
did
array
one-
because it's on the south side.
yeah, 1 here, 1 here, 1 here, and then 1 here or here would be perfect.
Okay, unless there's the shading aspect of that.
Yeah, if there's a significant
then-
shading issue or whatnot, then you might want to look at them differently. Or if these were like on different levels of the house, like this is a second floor, this is a first floor roof or something like that. But
Okay,
like in this house, you don't have that situation. So
makes sense.
have we found the pictures of the solar pathfinder?
Not ones that are visible.
Yeah, I'm not sure why they only put one inverter in here. No, I got one in here.
You
so
do?
survey. Because
Oh,
it's
is
a
it-
south. It's a south array you're looking for, right?
Yeah, we don't have one for the south array. Is the one that I could not find anything on. I definitely found 2 west facing and 1 east facing based on the pictures, but I did not see anything that was south facing when I was looking at the pictures on the solar pathfinder files you had sent. Because what you have sent me previously is I have the south pathfinder east, south, and west, but the south one was the pictures aren't facing south.
Okay, coming to you now.
Okay, perfect. So there's just 1 inverter on this system then? Is that what you're saying?
No, there's 2. I got to revise that. There has to be 2. I don't know why they
That
didn't do that. That's a little over the 120% rule for that one.
It's a little much, yeah. For
How
one,
much?
yeah. Looking at the line diagram, it doesn't look like there's 2 on that one either. I don't see anything for a combiner for them. So
No, well, you combine it. We would be combining it on top of the roof,
oh, because you're using
solar decks, and then we would just drop down into the inverters. So the inverters technically are our combiner box. Well, no, we would Yeah, I'll fix that as well because we'll excuse me, we'll have a combiner box
Yeah.
between the junction box and the inverter.
Yeah. Okay. Like I said, just whenever you get to the point of having that, just go ahead and just send me the updated plans on that as well.
Sure.
Because we won't be able to move forward the interconnection right now anyway, because I'm going to have to send it back to get customer signature and all that kind of stuff anyway. So
Okay. And do you usually send it back for customer signature, or should we?
normally it's you. I'm just, since we're going to fill it out today, I will go ahead and ship you the document that we fill out. That way you don't have to try to refill it out already. But
Okay.
yeah, typically when our stance is that we expect to have a fully submitted with all the signatures and everything sent in to us when it's submitted in for the interconnection agreement.
Correct. Okay. So peak factor. I think
Okay. I'm just gonna throw this. I just got your picture you just sent. That is a really not good picture.
I know, right?
That's pretty bad, to be honest.
Okay. Let me see if there's another one.
Because just from the standpoint of not the quality of the picture, but just from in the manner in which it was taken.
Yeah, I'm training a lot of cats over here.
Yeah, because basically the best way to do it is to have
Here, I
them.
got another one right here.
They need to stand on the north side of it instead of the south side of it, and then the camera should be basically focused right over the top of the bubble, and that'll get rid of a lot of the distortion on it, because as it currently kind of stands here from the picture, it's very much at an angle, as you can see on the screen here. When you said you want it to be basically directly over where that camera right here and the phone is taken right over the top of the dot. And that will make it better, because what happens here is it gets off to the side on that one. You get not a true picture of the horizon of how it's actually going to be compared to where that's taken at.
I don't think this one's gonna be good enough either. Yeah, I just have him taking a picture on the south side.
So this is the picture that we currently have available for us today then?
I have one more. Let's see if this one works. Does not. Okay. Cindy now.
Okay. Wait for it to show up here. Like I said, if that is the other ones we can use the other ones. They weren't kind of the same issue, but they were definitely well usable. If we have to, we can go grab the south picture from the other email that using the drawn diagram instead of the actual picture if we have to.
Okay. We'll see if that one. This one's.
Oh no, this other one's great. Yeah.
Okay. Just cancel out the astronaut looking guy in it.
Yeah, we can get around that. That's not so bad, because it's the problem is when he's on the wrong side, which this gentleman is. It's when there's a bunch of other trees and stuff behind him, and you don't know where the trees end and he begins, kind of situation. But this is fairly simple since there's not a whole bunch of trees and stuff behind him. So yeah, this will be fine. Okay. All right, so we're going to start with the south one since we're kind of already there on that. So when you first open up Solar Pathfinder, it gives you the screen to start on. So you want to start a new report. You can ignore the magnetic declination part of it, because I haven't gone out and updated the software on my end, because all we're doing it for is just the basic shade analysis. The big one is when you get to the Solar Pathfinder, you have the option of right here, ecological or PV. Choose ecological because it takes a lot less information to put it in to make it work. And all we're doing is just the shade analysis. We're not doing any of the solar calculations using this program. Zip code. Choose by zip code. One thing I do ask is don't use latitude, longitude, because that typically is where I find I've had some sent in where it's based out of Anchorage, Alaska. It kind of defaults up to there. And obviously that will make a difference on the shade stuff as it's evaluating that. So just use zip code.
Okay.
Hit next. This next screen, just ignore it. Just hit next right through it. Next screen, hit right through it. This next one is, you can either upload a picture, like if you take a picture from the ground up to where it's located on the roof, you can upload a picture here and then put exactly where the solar pathfinder, or you can just put a dot kind of where on this screen like this where the module array is. You want to use single trace because that's what we require, and that's the easiest one. Four corner is you take 4 different pictures at 4 corners. It's just well more effort. So single trace right here is all we're asking for. Then it's going to open up a thing asking you for upload the picture. Here's the picture from the south one you guys just sent me. I'm going to open that one. So then you can change the little dot around to wherever the array might actually be located at within it where the pathfinder is. We ask that you take the picture in the center of where the array is going to be located at. Hit next. Then you can just kind of dial this in just to help you zoom in a little bit to make your life a little bit easier on the next sides of it. I can just take it down to about where the blue is. And then just make sure the level is sitting right here over where the dot is. And then below compass, just move that so that it is in line with the actual compass itself. You're going to get a note right here. As long as this is below 4%, it's pretty good. If it gets above anything above that, it starts to become kind of wonky. But so 2.4, that's not a problem. Then from here, we're just going to trace the outline of the sky. And where everything else is, it's going to cause any kind of shading issues.
You missed the astronaut.
Yeah, I'm afraid he's probably not going to stay there, hopefully.
That's Sam. That's my humor for the day.
Like I said, when it comes to the whole shading stuff, like you can always more than welcome to be very, very, very detailed in the outline of the shading on these, but in all honesty, it doesn't make a huge amount of difference. So it's mainly just kind of catching, the main stuff of it from that standpoint. I do have some people that will go through and track every little change in possible spot for the sun could shine through. It's not going to make that much of a difference in the overall shade analysis of it. So then you hit next, and then the next page on this one, you're going to leave it alone as it is because we're looking at with months with leaves and without leaves. We're basically just assuming that that's staying the same. Create the report. Then we're going to do 2 things. We're going to save the file because I'm going to ask you all send me the digital copy of this. And the other one is we always export the shading data because this is what gets uploaded into the system advisor model.
Is there a way in this model to do multiple arrays so it's only under one report?
Nope, there is not. At least that's basically you do each one separately, which is mildly annoying on occasion.
Okay.
So here's the shade analysis. So basically, as you're looking through it here, we're looking at our concern that everything we're basing off of is July, from 2 to 7 p.m. So that right there is the area is the entire thing that we are looking at from when it comes to shade analysis, and we're looking at basing our rebates around it.
That's nice.
So what we'll do is we'll save this one, and then we'll basically take this and we will end up uploading that into the system advisor model. And my phone's going off. Sorry, 1 second. And so we're going to look at the other ones real fast as well on these other solar pathfinders. Okay. Let's see. I'm just going to choose the one that's labeled South Pathfinder East Array is the one I'm going to pop open real fast. We'll cap this one real fast on these and run through these and get all these uploaded. this on the right screen. Yeah, so the picture that got uploaded is not the same as what the one was used. So we'll look at the one that was actually used for this. And this looks like this is the east-facing array. It looks like, because this is the east-facing array on this one. So yep, the east array is it's labeled. It's at 5.7%. Let's say it's a little bit further off than what we'd like to see because it's a little way it's taken, but this is usable definitely, so we're fine with it. And then looking through here, that lines out. I mean, it tracks all of where the shade is, so no issue with that. So I'm just gonna hit cancel because you already ran the one on this one because it's already been run. So we're gonna take this one. We're going to export the shading data. Shading data, save that one. Next one we'll look at is the one that's was listed as South Pathfinder.
I text
You
him.
want to meet in your office rather than in
Yeah, that's fine.
So this one was listed as a South Pathfinder, but as you look at it here, the roof's running away from it. It's actually a west-facing roof. So the question comes down to, which west array is this one? Do you happen to know?
That's the wester of the arrays.
Okay,
The garage side.
this is the most western one.
Yeah, that's the garage side.
Okay. I'm going to relabel this file here in a minute, Western Garage. And so from here, we're just going to make a couple of adjustments because that didn't quite line up with where the line on the compass was. So it's a little bit above 4% again, so not as, wish it was a little bit better, but we can make it work. From here, because we had to move, it wasn't lined up. You can now see how it's not quite lined up with like the trees and whatnot. So we're going to end up redoing this one. So we're going to clear all the data points. We're just going to go through and add these all in. Just the west over the garage, you said, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, and then the last one we have is just the one that's labeled West Array that was sent originally. Zoom this in a little bit more, make it like a little bit easier. So again, put the level over where the bubble is and put it in line with the bottom of the compass. And then this one is very much out of whack right now. So we're going to clear all those data points and start over on this one. And do make sure that when doing the Solar Pathfinder that you actually make sure it goes all the way down to the green at the bottom, and always go from left to right. Because if you don't go from left to right, it gets really weird and it actually kind of inverts the whole shading analysis. And it'll just give you a very, very weird reading. Okay. So that's Solar Pathfinder. Any question on Solar Pathfinder?
I think I'm okay.
Yeah, I don't have anything.
All right, so now what we're going to do is we're going to run through the system advisor model. And like I say, once we get through this, then we'll have all the information we need to fill out the rest of the interconnection agreement. So I'm going to pop open the one that you guys had sent me previously. Okay. So I got a notice when I was opening the screen. This was actually created using the 2021 System Advisor model version. So I found a bug in that system. And I'm working with NREL to kind of work through it right now. And basically because of this, it's not working properly using the version you guys currently have on your computer to properly do the evaluation. It's because they made some updates to incorporate a bunch more things, and now it's not calculating all of the factors that we need for it to be done on. So because of that, we're going to run this using the older System Advisor model, and we're going to start a fresh template on this one. I just recently found out about that, and I have not had a chance to get that out to all of the various solar contractors about making sure to not use the most recent version of SAM until I can get our template updated with NREL to match what they're looking for and how they've changed the calculations. So on this one, we're going to have 4 arrays. So we're going to take this first so I don't lose it. And when you open up SAM, you'll notice you're always going to have these little yellow boxes that pop up. And these should basically provide you most of the information of any adjustments need to be made or things need to be changed. That way you don't have to sit here and try to remember, like, for example, what weather station number you need to choose. It's just listed over here on this little yellow sticky pad that pops up. That way you'll know to choose that one. The first time you ever open up SAM, you're gonna need to select your weather file. You literally go down to download weather files, type in Columbia, Missouri, hit download and add to library. It'll download it on your computer. You never have to worry about it again. So that's just the first time you ever do it with that system.
Okay.
So we're looking at adding 4 arrays instead of this one only defaults to 3. So we're going to end up adding one. So we're just going to little drop down arrow on one of these, hit duplicate, and it'll bring up another one. So we'll have 4 available to us. So we'll go ahead and start with array 1. We'll just call this one, we'll make this the east one because we'll just go east through west from that standpoint. We're going to label this one east. So we want to choose the Columbia weather model. That's 797260. That'll show up. It'll be at the bottom of your little drop-down list. That's all you have to do with location. Just click on that right there, hit system design. And then on the east-facing roof, what is the KW of system on the east that's going to be on the east-facing roof? KWDC.
1 second.
Like 13 panels looks like. If I counted that correctly.
Be 4.8.
4.8.
4.8 or 4.81?
4.81. Sorry.
That's a 4.81. And then from there, the other question to look at is under module type. This is all based off the PV watts calculator. So we're looking at the module type to determine as well what the efficiency of that module is. If it's above 20%, we want to call it premium. If it's below 20%, then we're going to end up calling it standard. And it appears to be 20.31. So we're going to call this one a premium module type. Now, DC to AC ratio, what we're looking at here is converting over your watt size from your panels to what it's going to be AC size. So basically, your panels DC wattage compared to the wattage from your inverter. And from that standpoint, so we're looking at this one, you're going to have it's 15.91 divided by 7.6 times 2. Since you have 2 inverters, it's 7.6. That's 1.046 or 1.047. Does that calculation make sense? I kind of did that kind of fast, I realize.
No, it does.
Okay. And the next thing we're looking at is the inverter efficiency. So, in looking at these, it's I always use the CEC weighted efficiency, and it's 99%. So 99% on that. And the next size, part down, orientation and tracking. It's fixed roof mount. The tilt on the east facing is, find that on the plans here. 18 degrees and a 90 azimuth. So 18 and 90. The losses down here, the only thing we're doing with losses is we're only going to change this mismatch number. Everything else we leave as it is. So mismatch is going to be if you're using microinverters, you change that to a 0. If you're using optimizers, you change that to 1. And if you're just doing a straight panel into the inverter, then it goes in at 2%. And you guys are, believe you're using optimizers on this system. Am I correct on that?
Yeah, we use optimizers on everything.
And so then we'll change that right there to 1%. And then edit shading. This is where we're going to upload that Solar Pathfinder information that we just got. So you want to choose out of these 4 options at the top. Solar Pathfinder month by hour shading. Then you find the one that is the appropriate one. So the CSV file. So the east shading. Open that up. And then it gives you your overall solar window on that system. And so 100 is shaded, 0 is not shaded for reference. And you just hit OK. And then we go down to simulate. And here's where we actually get the numbers that we need for the interconnection agreement. So we go to the data tables. And we go down here to single values. We're going to look at the annual AC output and the energy yield. The energy yield, this is the important one, because this is what we use to determine what the peak factor is going to be. So whether or not it gets that 125, 100, or 75% of what the baseline rebate is for this part of the array. So I'm just going to write this number down real fast.
You said that was called the energy yield is what we'll use?
You got the energy yield, which is the kWh divided by kW.
Okay. And that equals the peak value?
And that will be, you use that, then we go back, and I'll show it here in 1 second. It doesn't equal the peak value, but it's what we use to get the peak value, because we end up going back to the chart on the last page of the net metering guidelines on that. I was writing those numbers down so that way I can easily reference them as I'm showing it to you.
Okay.
So we pull up the very last page of the net metering guidelines, and this table 1 in the top left corner.
Yes.
So this first year kWh kW, that is the energy yield number that you just got from Sam. And so you find out where it falls in. So the number was 0.98. So you find that 0.98 is between 0.41 and 1.35. That means it gets a peak factor of 0.75. So it is when we go back to the interconnection agreement, peak factor is 0.75 or 75% is what it would come out to be.
Mm-hmm.
When we fill this out here, the energy yield is 0.98049. And then the array capacity is 4.81 because that's how many kW is on this system itself. That's going to end up being a little wanky when we add the 4th one over onto this system. So when we get to column 3, we're going to combine the 3rd and 4th arrays into just one little section over here, just for general knowledge.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's actually determines it based on each array, not as a total system.
Yep, exactly.
Okay.
Yep. And so what we'll do is we'll end up figuring out of the whole system how many of that fifth. So what percentage of 4.81 is out of 15.91, and that's 30%. So 30.2%. So we'll round to call 30%. 30%. So when doing this rebate, you take 30% times 0.75 times 7364, and this east array would get $1,656.90
Okay.
for that array. Now we're just going to go back and do this for all the other ones as well.
Gotcha.
So then array 2, what we'll do is we'll do the out of curiosity on the plans, just because I'm not as familiar with the project, is this the garage or is this the garage?
On the right.
So on the right is the garage.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Well, you're right or his right.
Well, the right on the east side is the garage, I'm pretty sure.
East side, okay.
Let me double check it. Just
Okay.
I have 4 kids, so my memory sometimes is a guess in itself. Let me just double check real quick.
No, I popped up and I actually just have the aerial map. It's the western array is the garage.
Oh, okay.
So okay. That'll work. That way just know which next one we're doing. So when I start pulling the stuff, because we're gonna just do we'll do the west main is what we're gonna do now. We're gonna rename this.
Yeah.
West Main.
That's what I meant.
Oh yeah.
We're on the same page. We're good to go. All right. So then we're going to choose weather location again, 797-260 weather station. System
Say that
design,
number again. 79.
797-260. So for reference again, whenever you pop open the location and whenever you pop it open, you're going to get this green box, and it's going to say it right here for you.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, that way you don't have to try to remember which one to choose. So it'll always be right here. And on the same thing on the system design one, it'll tell you when you're changing those losses, which ones to change, whether on the mismatch to 0, 1, or 2. So that way you don't have to try to remember those numbers. It'll tell you right here in the yellow box that'll pop up every time you open it. So we're going to choose 797-260 for the weather system design. We're now going to the system nameplate capacity. So there's 1, 2, 3, 7 panels on the roof, looks like.
Which one is that one?
The easternmost west array. So this one right here.
Yeah, I got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 7.
So that's 2.59 kW, 2.59 kW. The modules were premium because they were over 20% efficiency. The DC to AC ratio was 1.04. The inverter efficiency was 99%. And the tilt was 18%. And the azimuth is 270. You use optimizer. So we changed the mismatch to 1%. We're going to edit the shading. We'll pop that open. We're going to choose the west over the main part of the house. Open that up. Gives you your solar window. Hit OK. We're going to simulate that. Data tables. Again, we go annual AC output and energy yield are the 2 numbers we're looking at. I'm going to write those down on my end real fast. If I'm going too fast through this, please let me know.
What was the first one? So energy yield. What was the first one you said?
The annual AC output. That is how much the system is going to produce during on its first year. On that, how much that array is going to produce, and then we'll use that. We'll add all the annuals up to all those together, and that'll give us the over. That's what we use to determine if the system falls within that 110% or not of annual usage. Because if it's more than 110%, then we have to have a further conversation.
A side question. So that 110%, like, where did that come from? Like, why is that the number that they, that it gets approved?
Okay.
Like,
So
where did that number come from? I'm just curious.
Oh, that's an internal decision where that came from when the program was designed a number of years ago, because we try to go back and look at the last 3 years of usage from a house. And we know that there's going to be some variance in weather and things like that over the years. So
Gotcha.
in case it happens to be that this next couple of years happen to, difference in temperature, difference in climate make a difference. We want to be able to provide an opportunity for a little bit of variance based upon that. Now, if we have a system you guys are looking at that's more than 110%, we can look at doing that from with one of three options. One of them is being providing justification of why we need to look at a large system, which would be, hey, the customer just bought an EV. Okay, cool. Then we will add that, add a certain number of kilowatt hours to the overall system on a per year basis, assuming that the customer is going to add as the EV. Now, it has to be they have an EV, not they are planning on buying an EV. So they actually already need to have made said purchase in order to get the rebate for the additional size. Other
Or
one
say
is
if they were in the middle of building a pool.
yeah.
Or
If there's we just had one recently where the customer was building a pool, and we could see they were building a pool, so that was very easy to go. Yep, they're building a pool, and so we were able to calculate and add a calculation into it as well for additional usage. So as long as we can justify the additional usage, and you have to justify it to me, and hopefully I'm somewhat knowledgeable on the energy side of it. So as long as we can come to an agreement of the justification on it, shouldn't be a problem. Other way to do it is we can have one of our staff go out and do a home energy score on the house and evaluate. For example, let's say the customer is switching over from a gas furnace they're going to a heat pump now, an electric furnace and heat pump. And so we can go off and do a home energy score to get the energy usage of what that's going to be to make sure that's accounted for as well. So as long as we can justify it, we can look at increasing it. The other option is reducing the size of the system so that it gets below that 110%. The other option we can always look at is, let's say the customer wants to put one in that's 125% of their usage. And we can't come to agreement on justification. We can install a system that large. It's just that we will only rebate up to that 110%.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
So there is flexibility, and it just depends upon what way that the customer wants to move forward, and you all are the ones who make the decision. Talk to the customer on that one and determine what they want, and then basically you'll discuss it with me and let me know what the way to move forward is with that project. So
Okay.
but yeah, the 110%, it's an internal decision that we used for that reason, to give a little bit of variance on there, because I've heard other utilities basically cap it out at 100% and that's it. I haven't gone through an interconnection with other utilities, so I don't know if that is always the case or not, but that is what I have been told by other contractors at least. Okay, so going back to the filling out the next section of this one. So we're looking at array number 2. So array number 2 on this one, it was go back, see how big the system was now. 2.59. The array capacity was 2.59. The energy yield on this system was 2.33716. When the peak factor, when you go back to the table 1 of the net metering guidelines, the 2.33 is greater than 1.97, so it's 1.25 peak factor. So the peak factor on this one is 1.25. The total capacity of the system is 2.59 divided by 15.91 is 17%. And that was 270 divided by 18. So this one right here, you would have 17% times 1.25 times 7364, and this one would get a rebate of $1,554.85. And my phone is making noise again. 1 second as I try to make it quiet.
No worries.
Okay. And so that is the other array. So now we'll drop in and do the south array on this system. We're going to rename this one to south. We're going to choose weather station 797260. System design, we're looking at, there are, how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Is that 11? Did I count that correctly?
I believe so.
So 4.07. PC to AC ratio, that was 1.04. Inverter efficiency was 99. The tilt is going to be 18 with an azimuth of 180 degrees. We're using optimizer, so mismatch goes to 1%. Edit shading, go to Solar Pathfinder month by hour shading. We're going to choose the south shading, hit open. It's going to pop up and give us our solar window. Hit OK. We're going to simulate. Then from here, data tables. Again, we're going to choose annual AC output and energy yield are the two numbers we're going to grab for this one. I'm going to write these down again real fast. And then we'll pop back over here to the net metering guidelines. So their energy yield number for this one was 1.72. 1.72 falls between 1.35 and 1.97, so it gets a peak factor of 1.0. So we'll pop back open the net metering guideline. We're going to put this here to 1.0. Now I'm going to put a slash in here because we're going to combine arrays 3 and 4 into this one because we don't typically get many systems that are force a different array. So
Right.
we're gonna have to kind of cram it in a little bit just to make it fit. So on this, we're looking at here, what was the size of the system was 4.07. So 4.07. The energy yield on this one was 1.72. 133. Tilt was 18, the azimuth was 180, and then 4.7 divided by 15.91 is 29.5, so round that up to 30%, at 1.0, so then we have 30% times 1 times 7364, and the rebate for this is $2,209.20. So now we have just the one other one to do, which is the far west facing array. We can name this one to West Garage. Again, choose the station ID for weather 797260. System design. Need to figure that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 11, 12 pounds. Is that correct?
Yep.
So 12 times 370 is 4.44. DC to AC ratio was 1.04. Inverter efficiency was 99%. We changed that to premium. The tilt on this is going to be 18 degrees. The azimuth will be 270. And since we have optimizers, that could change to 1%. We edit the shading on it. And we'll choose the weather file, the shading file for West Garage. Get the solar window. We'll hit OK. We're going to simulate. And we're going to go to data tables. We're going to again choose annual AC output and energy yield. I'm going to write these numbers down again real fast. Hit save on that because we are now done with the system advisor model. And so we go back here to the what was now going to be array 4 on the other side of this little slash over here. So it's 4.44 kW in size. Our number for the energy yield was 2.29816. Also 18. 270. 4.44. Actually, we're going to do it the other way. 30 plus 30 plus 17 is 17%. So we should have 23% of the system that math does not work out. One second here.
Mm-hmm.
This should be 16%, not 17%. Redo that math here in a second. Yeah, this should be 26%. I don't know how I got that math wrong, but I did. This is now 28%. Okay.
It's Friday, so it's not a good math day.
After running around like the last couple of days trying to get caught up from being out of the office for the previous 2 days of the conference, I'm not surprised I can't do math.
Yeah, it's like, well, it's just when you math all week for other stuff, anyways, it's like Friday, your brain's like, okay, it's time to shut off. At least mine
This
does.
number changes from 1564 to 1472.8. This one, 26. So it goes to 1914.64. Okay, now we take 28% times 1.25 times 364. And this one gets a rebate of $2,577.40. And of course, it's cutting numbers off. We're going to always end up rounding anyway, so I'm just going to go ahead and do the rounding right now. Just add these up together, 1657 plus 1473 plus 1915 plus 2577. The customer would get a rebate of $7,622 for the system. Only other thing that we now need to do is the annual AC system output, which is the overall production of the system, which we got from Darian, Nees, and Sam. So wrote all those numbers down. So 5313.94 plus 3187.65 plus 5991.63 plus 5431.63, and we get the system is estimated to produce 19,924.85 kilowatt hours per year. It's saved before I happen to lose this for some reason. Okay. And then down here at the bottom, vendor name, installer name, just choose one or the other one. It doesn't make a difference. It only comes down if we have more of like a third-party company selling, a different company installing. We like that information, but since you guys are doing both, and then what's the best phone number for you guys?
Rachel, what's the best number for us?
In regards to
Them to call it?
if you have questions.
Yeah.
Let me give you my cell phone and Chess's.
Okay.
So mine is 573-619-1168.
Okay.
And then Chess is 573-819-9623.
I'd say typically from anything from that standpoint, this is just again, if there's ever anybody like a lineman out or something like that, they need to get hold of a solar contractor because of an issue or something like that. This way they have a phone number to try to reach out to. If it comes back through me, I'll just typically reach out via email or whatnot because we only call if there's something that that needs to be addressed in kind of a short order.
Okay.
So from that standpoint, so that is the overall interconnection agreement, how that's done and calculated. I know the system advisor model is kind of daunting at first, but once you've run through it once or twice, it's pretty quick to run through and do. Any questions you guys have?
So the software that you were using with the drop downs and all that, like how do we get to that?
The SAM or the Solar Pathfinder?
Both.
SAM, I think some of us have downloaded, but like you had said, it's not the right version, correct?
It's you guys have technically you have the better version because it's the updated version. It's an issue on our end. That means that we need to use the older version. And I will send you all a link to the old version to use for the time being.
Perfect.
I say that's technically we should be using the most recent one, but because of an issue that I've come across with our template that we have to use, that's where the problem is.
And then I have a couple questions, just kind of pertaining to the overall net metering agreement. So
Yeah.
like for this one, so on that first page where you're putting in customer information, just their basic information, name, address, contact, all of that.
Yeah, well, let me
Does
pull
that have to match the person who's buying the solar system?
it.
Or do they just,
The answer is it depends.
the reason I ask is because the husband is the one who financed the solar system, and then the wife is the one it looks like we have on here.
So from our standpoint is, so I'm just, I'll pull up on my end so I can pull up on the screen, is what we look at is this is our CIS system, which has all of the utility information for a customer. And I'm looking at, is the customer on the net metering agreement the person whose name is on our system?
Okay.
And so in this case, it happens to be, so that works out.
Okay.
But there is a
So
situation.
it really didn't have anything to do with who's financing the solar system. It's who's going to be on the net metering agreement, and then who's on the electric bill or the account.
Yes.
Okay.
Except the exception to this is if we have had situations where someone who owns a property and rents it out is putting solar on their system. So in that case, we need the person who owns the property will be the one we want to have that agreement with.
Gotcha. Okay.
Because of the way things are working. Because if they're the ones installing it, they're the ones who are going to want to get the rebate for it, all the things along those lines. So in that case, if we know that and the names don't line up, I'll ask a question back to you all of, is there another name? Is this a rental property? What is it? And then we'll basically verify at that point in time the person on the interconnection agreement if they are the ones who own the property.
Okay. Awesome.
We have a
the
number
other
of ways to.
that I had jotted down was just say this if they weren't doing a roof mount, let's say they were going to do a ground mount.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this may not be a question for you, maybe this may be something different, but I've heard that it has to be like a certain amount of feet off of the property line.
Yes, there is setback requirements. I do not know what those are. That is a code requirement. The person to talk to on that, the gentleman's name is Doug Kinney, and I will send along his information when I send the updated download for the system advisor model for the one that we need to currently be using on that, because he is since that is a building and site permit office. We don't get in the permitting side of things. We look at it strictly from the side of the interconnection.
Gotcha. Okay.
But there is a requirement for that. So yes, there is.
Yeah, I figured there was. Now, as far as for the Pathfinder stuff, how do you do that if it's a ground mount?
If it's a ground mount, what we would do is
like where do we set that bubble and stuff? Would it
basically wherever you would just want to set it kind of in the middle of where the array is going to be.
Gotcha. Okay.
So if you were doing, even if it's let's just say I've seen a couple that are, 30 or 40 kW systems ground mounted, then you would just put it basically kind of in the middle of where that system is going to be at from there and then do it from that standpoint. One thing I also will throw out as well, let's say that you are doing a solar system and during the process, the homeowner cuts a tree down.
Mm-hmm.
So now that changes it. We can go back and we can revise. If we go back out and redo a solar Pathfinder after this agreement's been done and signed off on, we can always revise that and update the rebate amounts.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
now, if they've already received the rebate, will they just receive the difference at that point?
It has to be done before they receive the rebate, though.
Okay.
You beat me to it. Yep. So it has to be done before when the system is installed, it'll get the code inspection, come out and look at it. Then from there, we will come out either at the same time but typically we don't get the time to do that. We'll come out afterwards and do a verification where we'll basically verify that, yes, on this one, you guys put in however many panels it was, 43 panels on the house. And that we have the same number on each one of the arrays that was agreed upon on this interconnection agreement that we just filled out, because that'll change the rebates. We're basically doing a rebate verification on that.
And then one other question I had was timeline, just so that we can set an expectation for customers. How long does it normally take after install for them to receive the rebate?
We tell people a month, but it's usually faster than that. It's usually within a week or two.
Okay, so
we
you can
don't-
tell
we
them
don't-
2 to 4 weeks is
Yeah.
is appropriate to say.
Yeah. The only time it really gets delayed, anything to around the month period, is when it gets close to the end of the fiscal year.
Okay.
That can cause backup problems because it goes from us to our finance department, which is separate, and they things get kind of messy towards September. Honestly, it takes a little bit longer for things to get through, but yeah, typically it's about a 2 to 4 week period would be a more than safe assumption for that. Now the customer will be mailed a check directly, so it doesn't go on their bill, it doesn't go to you all, it goes directly
to them.
to them. Yep, they get an actual physical check in the mail from that standpoint. And then, like I say, from the other side of it, so as I'll just kind of the whole finish off the process, we do a verification, assuming everything's good. We'll then put the work order in for the bi-directional meter to be installed. And so that usually takes, after we've done the verification, work order, they usually have the meter swapped out within a couple of days is the time frame of that, what that usually takes.
Okay.
And then after we get the bi-directional meter installed, the meter shop will contact me, let me know it's done. I will then send an email to you all, letting you know that the meter has been installed and the system's good to turn on. And that is basically, that's our notification that we send of that the system is available. If you guys want a takeoff letter, we can do that as well. I have some contractors that have asked that, but our standard has just been, we send you an email saying, hey, the system's good to go at this address.
Okay, awesome. And now I guess one other question, sorry. So with this one, so we've just went through and done it. All that's left is we would need to get signature, right?
Yes. Signature on page 4, and then initial which rate they want on page 2. Again, they should select the top one. If they don't, I'm going to call them and make sure that's what they want to do.
Okay.
Which, if they really want to get paid less for the power they overproduce, then that's their option.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know why anybody would do that. So all right. Well, that's all the questions I had. Rachel, do you have any?
When it comes to them initialing in that area, are we able to tell them, hey, this is what we've been told is the best place to initial, or is that kind of a gray area?
I would encourage you to do that.
Okay, good deal. Just wanted to make sure I didn't do anything illegal.
No, there's nothing illegal about it. It's just providing the information. Since the net metering agreement is a legal document, it was ran through the ringer of lawyers and everything else when it was created. I don't like the way it's worded. I think it's very confusing. So if you all can help provide clearance and guidance on what this actually means, highly encourage that. And like I say, the top one, if the customer were to call me, I would tell them to select the top one. That's going to give them the most economic benefit for their system.
Why would anyone select any of the other ones?
I have no good reason, but we have provided them the option to do so.
Okay.
Probably, and that's because since we basically, if a customer really strongly wanted to keep, basically what happens is they select the top one, we take the renewable energy credits for it. We retire those in place for any kind of for the RECs on it. So if a customer really wanted those RECs themselves to sell on a market, which there is no market in Missouri for it, that might be an option of why they would want to do it. But there is no market for rooftop solar, and there's really not much of a market for renewable energy credits on larger systems. And on top of that, the difference in buying back at avoided cost or retail, over time they'll be better off fiscally, I would assume, to get paid back at retail for overproduction, because we keep a 12-month rolling credit on our overproduction. It's not a 1 month and done. It's 12 months rolling.
Okay, cool. Awesome. Well, that's all the questions I had. This really helped. I appreciate it.
Yeah,
we've got like 5 or 6 of these going in here in Columbia that we've, and it's like, this is where we're at on all of them, is we need to get this part of it done. And Rachel and I sat down and did up to this point, right? And then we were like, no.
Yeah, and like I said, as you guys go through it and you have any kind of additional questions or whatnot or clarifications, let me know. I'll be more than happy to try to provide some additional clarification or and I'll answer any questions that pop up during it. I view our stance on this one is, I know it's a process through the interconnection, but we're here to help you through the paperwork and get it done, because I want, as I always say, I want you guys to go out and sell the heck out of solar and get it installed. So
I mean, that's awesome. I wish that every utility company and co-op out there had that same outlook. That would be a world of help. So
when we look at it from the standpoint of distributed solar helps meet the city renewable goals, You know,
Mhm.
Columbia right now we have to be at 30% by 2028, but there's a big push right now to be, 100% by 2030 or 2035. So if we're going to do that, if that's what the city decides they want to do, we need to all hands on deck, all options available kind of thing to reach that. So,
Awesome.
okay. Well, I will send you guys a copy of this along with the system advisor model and all the other documents so that way you have it for your files as well.
Will you send us this recording also
Oh, yeah.
so we can let our install guys look at the Pathfinder side of it?
Yep, I will send. I'll send you the video for it. It'll probably be a link to a Google Drive because that'll be. I'm assuming it's gonna be too large to email. So a link to a Google Drive for the video. I'll send you the download thing for the SAM, the appropriate file for that one to download. I'll send you Doug Kinney's information from Building and Site Development for permits. I'll send you this net metering agreement that has all of the filled out stuff. So we just need to get signatures, and then I'll send you all the other documents I have in the file that we've done, so that way you have them for your files as well.
Awesome. I appreciate it, Todd.
Okay. And again, if anytime going forward, don't hesitate to reach out. So,
All right. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
all right. Have a good day, y'all.
Yep. You too. Bye.